Or you, this video is a part 2, and as usual, I consider the first required reading if you want to understand what the fuck I'm talking about. So if you haven't already taken a goosey gander at some of the worst content ever created, I suggest doing so before I find your address. There's also 3 other long-ass videos I'll reference a bit, but those aren't nearly as important. Now that that's out of the way, why do people shit on The Lost World so much? It's not even that bad. Sure, it's not to the quality of its predecessor, but it's really not fair to hold it to such a standard. It kind of continues on the same ideas as the first movie, but I guess decided things like prioritizing good effects and having a wide cast of likable characters weren't essential to creating an enjoyable cinema experience. Also, the novelty of seeing CG dinosaurs had mostly worn off by 1997, kind of ruining the point of the movie, but more on that later. I kind of already did a whole intro thing in the last video, which you should remember. As I said, it was required reading, and as such, I don't have much to say except, as usual, a company-wide manhunt has been declared by Donna Langley, and the target is none other than yours truly. Her direct orders state that I must be captured, tied up, and be subjected to several medieval torture methods, all because I dared to use clips of their beloved prehistoric predator films in my videos. But thankfully, a couple people in the country of Denmark founded a global toy company which created video games surrounding today's video subject. This means some things I explain may not be fully supported by the visuals, and imagination may be required in some areas. My condolences again to the people with aphantasia. If I do resort to using some clips from the actual movie, expect them to be more fucked up than the state of the US Parliament at the moment. Wait, actually, my audience might be too young to find that funny.
Are you a stupid person?
How about more fucked than meme culture at the moment? Like, what the fuck is this shit? Also, despite the eye-rolling orgasms of praise I gave Steven Spielberg for the last movie, I still had motherfuckers angrily commenting about the lore in the books. That's what I get for not having a disclaimer, I guess. So here's the obligatory reminder. I do not fucking care about the lore of these movies, especially if it has something to do with Crichton's piles of paper. If something doesn't make sense in the context of the story, I'm gonna dick on it regardless of whether it's explained somewhere else. If it's not presented within the movie, it's not fucking canon. I had some long ass comments too. Of course I didn't fucking read them. I don't care. If I see the word in the books and then the read more button, I'm gonna ignore the essay. Everyone got all that? Alright, so I changed the title halfway through making the last video, so what I said last time didn't match. Let's not do that again. Let's find out if the Lost World still I had a little context section last video, and while The Lost World wasn't nearly as significant as Jurassic Park for obvious reasons, there's still a little bit of bullshit I gotta get through first. Unlike his predecessor, The Lost World wasn't met with overwhelming praise and oiled up, full eye contact tit jobs from critics. Rather, a mix of that, but with some criticism as well. Although it still got hyped up for its use of CGI, action, and Jeff Goldblum, even though he's nowhere near as good as he was in the last movie, but whatever. I can see where they were coming from for the most part. The CG is basically the same as the last film, except for some reason they insist on rendering the effects during the day, which makes them look significantly worse. That, plus there's way more of them and less animatronics, which I personally wasn't a fan of given the previous dedication to the realistic effects. I fully agree with the action though. It's just as good, if not better, than the last movie. Plus, they don't repeat action scenes. It's all just original shit that they hadn't done before. Other common complaints include the shitty characters, which I'll fucking get to in a second, the convoluted plot, the dark tone, and lack of originality. Okay. The plot, valid. Some people had an issue with the San Diego action scene, which is weird because I knew it was coming and could see how they were building to it. It made sense in the context of the story. Like, they kept mentioning they were gonna make a dinosaur zoo in the city. They had to transfer dinosaurs there for that to happen. Am I on a different planet here? I don't get the originality critique though. Apparently it had too many repeated elements. Like, motherfucker, this is a sequel to a dinosaur movie. Where the fuck else can you take this premise? Don't you fucking answer that, Cole! I swear, some people will just complain about anything. Hey, what's that doing here? As with the darker tone, who gives a shit? I honestly don't know how deep they had to shove their fingers in their asses to pull this complaint from. Maybe in the 90s before the US streets made GTA lobbies look like a nursery, this was shocking, but in today's age of bad pilots and genocidal elephants, this shit's tame. See, if anyone ever asks why I'm not going to America under the current administration, I can just show them that clip and then they'll understand. I disappear faster than a tradesman after impregnating his underage girlfriend. Alright, fuck the context. Let's briefly talk about the... Yeah, so I kind of forgot to fucking talk about it last video. It's actually something I made a mental note to cover each time I talk about a movie, because it helps bring some coherence to my incoherent ramblings. This movie takes place 4 years after a bunch of dumb cunts got eaten on Dinosaur Island, and we follow Sexy Ian, but I can't really call him Sexy Ian anymore. He's more like traumatized and pissy Ian. And he also stays fully clothed for the length of the filmic production. He talks shit about the park to some people, and upon reflection, I don't ever think it specifically mentioned who. Probably the media or something. It doesn't really matter. What matters is he talked about what happened at the park and got in some hefty legal trouble for it, which isn't the greatest crux for the sequel to a dinosaur disaster movie, but it's at least realistic. Better than fucking locusts and auctions. It's revealed that there's actually a second island known as Isla Sorna, apparently being where they bred and raised all the dinosaurs before bringing them to the main attraction where the last movie took place. Why the fuck was this place never mentioned? Probably because nobody was sure if Jurassic Park would be Probably because no one was sure if Jurassic Park would be successful enough to make a sequel. Anyway, Ian is conned into going to the island thanks to some impressive word coitus from Hammond, combined with the information that Ian's girlfriend, Sarah, is already there. Also, Hammond is fucking dying of some disease. I'm gonna assume it's AIDS. Too much dino dick. Wait, they're all females, right? Oh no. Due to his illness-caused predisposition, the company InGen has been taken over by his nephew, who has a secondary plan of capturing a bunch of the dinosaurs and taking them to a newly constructed zoo in San Diego. This is done in the hopes he can make back some of the many millions lost from the bullshit in the last movie. And from there, things go just about as you'd expect. Ian tries to get his missus to leave the island, and the InGen army go around capturing dinosaurs. Now that I think of it, it's actually pretty similar to Fallen Kingdom in that sense. There's a lot of bullshit involving a baby T-Rex too. Like, this thing gets abused. The two groups eventually meet up before heading back to a port where a T-Rex fucking escapes and rampages around the city. They eventually lure it back to the boat where it's safely sent back to where it fucking came from and likely causes InGen to file for absolute bankruptcy. And yeah, that's about all the important plot points necessary for context. Now let's go over the... Fuck, they're bad. Alan and Ellie aren't even in it, which is good, because saying their names in succession is actually super hard. Too many fucking L's. Not even sexy Ian can save this shit show. He's basically a different person, too. Looking through a list of the characters I found online, I forgot half of them even existed. And unlike last video, where I was able to provide insight into personalities, motivations, and even arcs, I can summarize these cunts in a few sentences. Starting with Sarah, who I want to violently kill with blunt objects. She's a fucking idiot who went to Dinosaur Island to take photos or something. According to Hammond, she was super keen to go to Dinosaur Island too, which is weird considering her dick-for-hire Ian almost fucking died on it a few years ago. She constantly puts herself and everyone around her in mortal peril and acts like a stuck-up cunt when Ian or anyone show any concern for her safety. Speaking of which, she's supposedly dating sexy Ian, making her extra detestable to me because now I have competition for his heart and ferocious penis. She was never mentioned before this movie, so I assume she's a new girlfriend of his. This, plus the conversation he had with Alan where he shows he couldn't care less about the women in his life, made me confused as to why he goes back to Dinosaur Island just for her. Plus, she's Ranger and chopped. Leave it to the Rexes, honestly. Like I said, he's a completely different character in this movie. Like, he still makes witty remarks, but he's no longer spitting gold dialogue every time he opens his mouth. I get why he doesn't, of course. You can't just have a main lead also be the comic relief. That'd just get annoying. But at the same time, they could have just kept him in the same role while introducing new characters for him to bounce off of. It's not like any of his predefined traits affect his character or actions in any way. The only thing is his court bullshit against InGen, apparently talking shit about the park to the media, which violated an NDA. If you're concerned about how this goes for him, don't worry, because it's basically left unresolved. Like, the evil dude gets fucking eaten, and I guess that means the charges are dropped? I don't know. Another person never mentioned before is Ian's daughter, Kelly, who shows that Ian must not have very strong genetics because she looks nothing like him. This is also something I feel would have been mentioned way earlier. The daughter, not the genetics. She starts out insufferable before getting traumatized and mellowing out a little bit later on. She's also a prime example of kids not acting their fucking age. The writers want to make her smart, so they make her rude, snarky, and confident. She sneaks onto the island somehow and becomes a liability. I don't remember anything else about her, so I'll just move on. There's two other guys that go with Ian to rescue his missus, and of course the less annoying of the two gets mauled to death. Nick is the annoying survivor. I don't remember shit about him other than he's a photographer and that he's fucking annoying. And Eddie's the nicer one. He risks it all to save everyone during a pivotal action scene and is rewarded by getting brutally ripped to pieces by two T-Rexes. I genuinely felt bad for him while watching. It was so unnecessary. Moving on to the evil people, we have the Hunter Man, or actually hunter men. I genuinely forgot there were several, but they're mostly just dinosaur food. Imagine Shoot Her, but if he was mean and then split him into an army. That's these guys. They work for InGen and want to make a zoo in San Diego by capturing and transporting the dinosaurs. This is directed by the evil lawyer dude, who's Hammond's nephew. He took over the company, and to compensate for lost profits, he came up with the zoo idea. He goes from punchable at the start to lunchable at the end. Fuck this guy. And that's about everyone that matters. Sorry if you want more from this section, but don't blame me for the lack of content. Blame the writers for not giving me anything of interest to talk about, or even remember. Like, fuck. Don't think there's anything else I need to cover, so let's move to the plot. We start with a dramatic establishing shot of some water with text that tells us that this island, Isla Sorna, is 87 miles from some place called Isla Nublar. It's supposed to be telling us that this is a different island to the last movie. This confused the fuck out of me for a bit, but they explained it a little bit more later. It's a different park that came before, and was never mentioned by anyone. Okay. A couple more ocean shots later, and we're met with some rich family drinking champagne on the beach. There's two parents and a little girl who wants to wander off or something, in response to which the mother shows disapproval. And then the father, probably sick of his whore wife's bullshit and while imagining cheating on her for the 47th time, tells her to relax and let her go explore. This implies they don't know they're on Dinosaur Island. However, the motherly instincts prove to be correct and the child gets mauled by a bunch of compies. I have so many questions. What the fuck are they doing here on Dinosaur Island number 2? How the fuck did they even get here? Did they even know it was Dinosaur Island? We don't see what happened to the little girl. Did she fucking die? That's dark. Wait. Before you type an essay and leak my current coordinates in the comments, these questions are all answered. Remember, as I said, this movie isn't actually that bad and gives reasonable explanations. They're a rich family on a cruise in their private yacht and stumbled by this island, not knowing what it is. I think because it was kept secretive from maps or something. They didn't know it was the worst place ever. And the little girl didn't die, just severely mauled or injured or something. See, the modern molester movies would just not bother explaining any of this shit and expect you to know the family's entire history as well as every compy's date of birth and the radius of their assholes. After that horrific scene, we cut to Jeff Goldblum standing in front of what I thought was a terrible green screen, but it's just a poster. This would piss me off in a lesser movie, but I actually find it kind of charming here. Plus, I can never be mad at my beloved Ian. He gets on the train and is instantly harassed by a crackhead and stared at by old people. Pretty typical public transport experience past 3 a.m. All you need is a constant smell of piss and rotting carcass and it's spot on. This scene serves to set up a bit of tension and intrigue. The crackhead guy speaks about how he believes Ian and knows who he is, and the old women shoot him weird, almost disgusted looks. Although it could be lost. I'm not too familiar with granny flirting methods. When older women want to flirt with me, they just grab my arms and hand me 50s. This is just setting up the whole NDA bullshit where he's being defamed by the media for criticizing Dinosaur Island. Next thing you know, he's teleported to Hammond's giant estate, apparently being summoned. Not like how presidential candidates summon thousands of deceased people to vote for them in national elections, but like he was booty called over. He's excitedly greeted by Tim and Lex, who've changed a lot in the last 4 years. Lex has matured into a young woman, and Tim got an atrocious bowl cut. Hey, we aren't all capable of growth. Did he really have a relationship with his kids to the point where they'd excitedly hug him? He spent most of the movie cucking their surrogate father, got body slammed through a fucking building, then spent the rest of his screen time half naked and sweaty. I'm not complaining about the last part, by the way. It's just notable as all. It's also here where we meet the lunchable lawyer, who does a great job being detestable within his first few seconds of screen time. He implies that everyone on the island, even Lex and Tim, signed non-disclosure agreements about what they saw on the island, mockingly asking Ian if he thought everyone stayed silent for nefarious reasons. Essentially, he's saying nobody talked because they legally agreed not to, not because they supported what happened there or wanted to cover it up. This is realistic, and I fuck with it. Like, yeah, Ian did break his NDA, which he can be legally persecuted for, but at the same time, people fucking died and it's being covered up. I have no problems with this. It's a reasonable and believable conflict that follows from the events of the last movie in a realistic way. And oh god, the dialogue and exposition is so well done here. We've established that Ian got fired from his college for his comments, was offered a payout, which he declined. The lawyer dude isn't actually a lawyer dude, but a business dude that took over Hammond's position, and that he's Hammond's nephew, and this is all within dialogue that's presented naturally in ways that humans actually speak. Good shit. Ian receives a scathing comment about his tertiary education fees, and he meets with Hammond, who's fucking dying of some disease. As I said before, pretty sure it's AIDS. It's here he tells Ian about Site B. It really does feel like something Hammond would have brought up before now. He says the facilities there were destroyed by a storm, an act of God he calls it, which caused the dinosaurs to escape and mature on the island on their own. A few questions. One, how the fuck did they survive? Wasn't there that thing with the lysine production that'd kill all the animals within a week if left unchecked? They turned it off with a computer last movie, implying they were actively monitoring it. So were they keeping the loose dinosaurs alive? Why? And two, how long ago did this happen? If it happened before the events of the last movie, then the lysine issue would have definitely come into play by now. And that would also mean that Hammond should have known that turning it off last movie wouldn't have fucking worked. Or did it only happen recently? Because he says he wants to send a team there to understand how they survived. If this was true, surely he'd mention the other facility to the people he needs to greenlight the park. Remember, if you're typing a mean-spirited essay claiming the plot is actually airtight and I needed to do my homework before watching this movie, I'm not reading that shit. Be more like this guy. And yeah, I'm ignoring how the production of an amino acid was controlled through a computer. That shit makes no sense, but it's a battle I don't care to fight. Final little nitpicky bullshit thing. If all the dinosaurs are bred and raised on Site B, why the fuck did some eggs hatch on Site A? Did Hammond just forget about that? Or was it bullshit? Does this confirm that Site B was destroyed before the events of the last movie? How did Hammond experience the birth of every dinosaur on 2 different islands? Ah, fuck it. Moving on, Hammond mentions the distribution, or spread, of dinosaurs around the island, saying the carnivores are in the center and herbivores around the edges. Given that the carnivores eat the herbivores, this ecologically makes no sense. But like, it has no effect on the movie, so I'll just leave it. Plenty of people get fucking slaughtered on the coast in the next few hours. He also talks about sending a team, which based off his character arc in the last movie where he realizes people and dinos shouldn't mix, is something he probably wouldn't do. Like, I thought he felt terrible about the deaths that happened. He's definitely more of a villain with his mindset. Maybe he's fucking demented. Given he tries to let Ian go, that's actually kind of likely. Out of all the people who've been to Dinosaur Island, he's the only one to publicly speak out about it. What the fuck makes you think he'd be down to go? Surely just find some other cunt. Finally, he brings up the matter of losing InGen because of the little girl getting mauled from before, and the plans to salvage dinos in some way to make up for lost profits. Fuck, this exposition goes for ages. Don't get me wrong, it's essential and presented in a realistic, non-clunky way, but I'm gonna wrap this shit up because the longer I write about it, the higher my chances are of attempting a flight from a 7th story window. Maybe this is what Liam Payne was doing. Hammond said Ian's girlfriend is on the island, and I guess Ian agreed to go because we cut to a big-ass warehouse with a bunch of Jurassic-themed military vehicles. And it's here we're introduced to Eddie and Nick. And Kelly? Why the fuck is she here? Isn't this kind of shit supposed to be kept under wraps? Who let a child in? She's supposed to be 12 or 13 apparently, but uses the word troglodyte when referring to someone not having a Sega. I'm not 400 years old, so I'm assuming she means a Sega Saturn, which was a video game console invented during the Roman era. She says she wants to stay with Sarah, apparently not knowing where she is. So like, this is a top secret mission. Get the fucking kid out of here. Leave her corpse in a ditch or something. Now her sneaking along with him makes even less sense. Also, as if to directly fist me to the wristy, the exposition is dog, dick, donkey sex. Like, it was good 2 minutes ago. What the fuck happened? They literally say shit like, I know our relationship isn't the best. Human beings don't fucking talk like this. Kelly keeps trying to get an answer as to why she can't come. Does she know about Ian in the news complaining that some dudes got eaten on Dinosaur Island? If she's so smart, she should be able to put the dots together. Also, he could just tell her honestly. It's not like he signed an NDA for this mission. And if he did, he clearly didn't care last time, so what's wrong with telling just one family member? This lack of situational awareness is made extra odd as she walks past Ian talking about being at biting height in a high hide, as Eddie calls it, which is the thing they hide in later on. A few establishing shots later, Nick is arguing with some Spanish boat driver. Apparently he wants to drop them at shore and dip because of stories he's heard of disappearing fishermen. If he knew these stories, why the fuck did he agree to drive them here? Also, if there's stories about this kind of shit, how have these islands been kept a secret for so long? For fuck's sake. Skipping ahead, we unceremoniously arrive in the forest. Apparently no dinosaurs were seen before this point, which is odd. Didn't take very long last movie. And it looks like they traveled reasonably far inland too. After following Sarah's location ping, they find her backpack lying on the ground. A normal human would assume she's dead and fucking leave before they become part of the same shit pile as her. But no, they all start screaming on, and I'll say it again, Dinosaur Island! Shut the fuck up! Do you have a vor fetish or something? Almost instantly, they discover a bunch of stegosaurs walking through the forest. Excluding the Compsognathus nibbles from earlier, this is the first time we, and our main characters, see dinosaurs in this movie. It's nowhere near as impactful or majestic as it was last time, which is to be expected. CGI dinosaurs weren't new anymore in 1997, and treating it like such would be fucking weird. The CG doesn't hold up as well either, but on the positive side, at least they're dinosaurs we haven't seen until now. They also do a George Lucas zoom in on the effect. Like, brother, it looks like Play-Doh. Pull the fucking camera back. The herd disperses to reveal Sarah, who was apparently just fucking standing there without anyone noticing her. Could she hear the boys' calls for her before? She's pretty close to where they were yelling. Why did she leave her backpack? Here we get a bunch of dialogue that serves to characterize Sarah. It's all pretty meaningless and boring, but the main takeaway I got is she's fucking insufferable. She yaps about the family structure of the stegosaurs or whatever, and it's reminiscent of a toddler with undiagnosed ADHD. Dose that kid up on meth before I kick its fucking teeth in. Sure worked for me. Her toddler babble continued to the topic of the lysine production, with the dinosaurs apparently getting it from their diet, which is exactly what I said. So she's clearly watching my videos and learning off them. I guess she can't be too bad then. But before Ian can knock her the fuck out and carry her twitching corpse back to the mainland, she decides to get up close and personal with a baby stego and almost gets brutally mauled. For someone who literally just yapped about dinosaurs, she sure is fucking stupid around them. I know a lot about lions, but there's no way I'm gonna go piss some random cubs. God, I fucking hate her. At the very least, I'll say she's not the same character as Ellie. Variation is a good thing. Somehow she survives, and we cut to another part of the forest where Nick is lighting a cigarette. Fair enough. But being the insufferable cunt she is, Sarah tells him to put it out, with the reasoning being that dinosaurs can smell you from miles away. Fuck off. You were literally screaming on Dinosaur Island and looping up random babies all of 5 seconds ago. Then to add insult to injury, she gets annoyed that Ian shows concern for her safety and that he expresses annoyance that she didn't believe the dinosaurs were dangerous in any way. Like, he got mauled pretty bad. Do you think he just faked it? Also, she almost got mauled by the supposedly peaceful ones. Thankfully, this conversation is abruptly ended by Eddie screaming about a fire. And if I wasn't already annoyed enough, the fire was started by Kelly, who somehow snuck along with them. Is everyone in this movie dedicated to dying in the most preventable ways possible? First it's screaming, then it's disrupting dino family time, now it's setting off signal flares to man-eating beasts. Also, didn't Sarah just say they're attracted to smell? They should all be Rex shit by now. She was cooking food! Being the abusive drunken father he is, Ian beats the shit out of Kelly and tosses her lifeless body to the raptors. Obviously that's not what actually happens, but it's what she deserves, especially given she says Ian told her to come by saying, quote, "Don't listen to me and don't fucking come to the island." I thought Kelly was supposed to be smart. How the fuck did she interpret it like this? Is she just trying to make an excuse because she was curious? Why not just say that? She's already on Dinosaur Island and sure as hell can't make the situation any worse. But Sarah can because she fucking defends her, accusing Ian of locking her up for having curiosity. I actually just hate them both. Oh yeah, by the way, this conversation was brought to you by Mercedes. This is great foreshadowing for what this franchise would become. Bullshit upon bullshit with dumb cunt characters, plus it's a fucking ad. Maybe this movie isn't as good as I remember from like a few hours ago. I gotta move on before I burst a major blood vessel, but there's just one more thing I'll dick on, and that's a comment by Sarah where she claims she would have called Ian to tell her where she was, and that her traveling makes her the best kind of girlfriend there is. 1, shut the fuck up, and 2, traveling girlfriends are the worst kinds. I know someone who travels a lot to the most fuck-ass of places and never stops talking about it. Let's just say there's a reason she was a girlfriend. Speaking of the word girlfriend, that comment I just made is gonna get me in a lot of trouble from my own. So please like, subscribe, and comment thoughts and prayers so I can buy her something nice enough so she'll forgive me. Skipping ahead a full 5 fucking minutes. Holy shit, I was right in skipping that. I would have ended it all. But yeah, skipping ahead, there's some InGen helicopters that fly over the water. This creates some uncertainty in the group of fuckwits, making them worry that Hammond didn't trust them to solve the lysine problem alone. In reality, they're here to stock the dinosaur zoo, and then we cut to a big CGI dino chase that's in broad daylight and makes my eyes bleed. This is where we're introduced to one of the many evil army dudes. His only motivation is to hunt and kill a male T-Rex, and he doesn't care about being paid for it. Personally, if I was someone as evil as him, say a dentist for example, I'd take the payment and my wall mount, but that's just me. Also, they're in a loud as fuck buggy with headphones on, and the entire time he's just talking like it's at normal volume.
Well, open your case of scotch when we have a good day.
Cars don't fucking move like that, and this would just kill everyone inside. Just ask Paul Walker. They capture a Packy with some impressive tech for the 90s. Shit looks like something out of Mad Max, and now I'm noticing this movie's hard on for glare right in the fucking camera lens. Helps disfigure the CG model to make it look better, sure, but also gives me flashbacks to driving home at 5 PM after someone decides they don't want to go see their fuck ugly wife and dumb cunt kids and drives headfirst into a road barrier and adds an extra hour to my 15-minute commute. Fuck the M2, man. I quit uni because of that road. Just like the last scene, this one goes forever, and unfortunately doesn't really hold a candle to any action scene from the last movie. They do get better though. We're like almost out of the bullshit, I promise. They spot a giant T-Rex footprint, and evil army guy shows how evil an army guy he is by zapping a compy in the skull with a taser. I've taken issue with overly evil and sadistic characters in the past for similar actions, but I don't actually mind it here. He's a massive piece of shit with a power fantasy and shocks the animal because it doesn't fear him. It also sets up a satisfying death for him later, so it's in character and even serves to further develop him, and has payoff for later. Plus it's an animatronic. Literally no issues once again. It's also here they discover the Rex nest, conveniently with a baby chilling inside. Being the insanely evil hunter man he is, he fucking breaks the baby's leg and uses it as bait for the parents. And those baby cries still haunt my brain. I didn't realize I'd actually seen this movie as a kid until I heard those cries again. If that's not evidence of amazing sound design, then I don't know what is. They establish that Nick is like half working with InGen, but more importantly, they explain the whole dinosaur zoo thing on the mainland. I've already been over this, so I won't flesh it out. If you weren't listening, then too bad. By the way, this whole time, the main gang has been stalking the evil army huntermen and followed them back to their base camp, somehow without being detected by the highly trained personnel. They've captured a bunch of dinosaurs by this point, and as such, our gang decide to free them all and cause what I can only call pandemonium, but is more accurately described as the deaths of several unsuspecting people, as every single animal decides to go on a murderous rampage. This somehow results in a car being thrown into the tree where the evil hunterman was waiting for the T-Rex to show up. A few things again. Firstly, how the fuck did the car explode after being rammed by a dinosaur? And second, how did it fly so fucking far? And third, and what I think is the most weird, why the fuck did they set up this dangerous ass T-Rex trap right next to their base camp? If anything went wrong, now there's an angry apex predator going crazier than a priest in the Vatican's kids club. All this chaos somehow doesn't attract any dinosaur attention, by the way. I guess I was wrong about screaming on Dinosaur Island being a bad thing. Maybe haven't shot off their hearing production instead of lysine. Also, the army dudes find a broken lock as a result of Ian and shit freeing the captured dinosaurs and realize they're not alone on the island. Did Hammond or whoever the fuck organized this shit not brief them about this? Like, I understand not telling the main cast about InGen, but why not tell InGen about the main cast? Just in case the characters hadn't made enough bad decisions, Nick decides he wants to be a dumb cunt too, and uses the cover of the explosions to rescue the baby Rex and bring it to their trailer. What a fucking dumbass. Look, I know I said this movie wasn't bad, but I swear it gets better. And like real soon, it's this scene that pops off. Also, why isn't the baby Rex biting them? It's still a predator that eats meat with a mouthful of sharp teeth, and it's in agony. It'll fucking bite. Also, how are they sure they can help it with its broken leg? Those need a bunch of time for rehab and physio. It's honestly more humane to make it spread its arse cheeks and bite the curb than it is to try help it. This has genuinely got to be one of the dumbest things characters in this franchise have done, and it's framed as a good deed. It's also here where Kelly gains some fucking sense and begs Ian to get her away from the screaming baby, while also claiming she's stupid and shouldn't have come. Character development is always appreciated. Also, for some reason, Ian tries to convince her that she's completely fine and it's not at all like the stories he told, which Kelly believed. So why the fuck did she come to Dinosaur Island when she fully believed the stories? Anyway, this leads them to enter that high fucking... I don't even know what he calls it, but it's that crane-raised cage that goes above the tree line. And it's from this whatever the fuck that they realize a T-Rex is coming and that everyone in the trailer is doomed to perish. Instead of staying put and leaving everyone to die like they deserve, Ian physically goes down there to fucking tell them because they couldn't be asked to pick up the phone. As soon as he gets there, of course, so do the parent Rexes, and we're about to enter the best action scene in the whole movie. They surround the trailer and just stare at it. I guess they know that their baby's in there and they don't want to go apeshit. Makes sense. Sarah carries the baby out and while walking towards the door is stalked by both the adults. This is straight horrifying and the lack of music makes the tension all the stronger. I already spammed the words tension and suspense last video, so I'll try to expand my vocabulary this time. And in the most gigantic penis move I've ever seen, they open the fucking door right in front of the adult. They're holding the baby, yeah, so it probably won't hurt them, but this is still insane. Like, nothing is stopping them from being consumed in a second. But what's even more insane is the Rexes just walk off after. Like, Eddie calls them to say they walked back into the forest. How did the baby manage to walk? Its fucking leg was broken and it's doped on morphine. But I promised an action scene earlier, and this is where it starts, with the trailer being fucking rammed out of absolutely nowhere. So I guess the Rexes decided to come back? I don't know, maybe they didn't want to instill violent tendencies in their newborn. Ian is also surprisingly calm when he sees the charging. Like, if that were me, not only would there be much more swearing, but the nearest wall would also be covered in my liquid feces. I'm not going to meticulously explain the scene for a few reasons. One, it'll just be me struggling to talk with Steven's throbbing cock in my mouth. Two, I did it a bunch last video and it'll be boring and repetitive. And three, I don't fucking wanna. But I'll give a basic rundown. The Rexes flip the trailer and try to push it off a cliff, which is odd. I wouldn't think animals are smart enough to know that doing that would kill whatever is inside. Although this is the Jurassic franchise after all, anything can happen if it serves the plot. The trailer gets to a point where it's like half hanging over the edge in a vertical position, creating the super cool set piece. And there's tension with broken glass and a rope. Eventually, Eddie rocks up in a car, and I guess the Rexes left because they're nowhere to be seen. He genuinely saves all their asses here by getting them rope to climb and attaching a winch to pull the trailer back up. I'm also just going to ignore the fact that a Mercedes is able to pull a massive trailer that's dangling off a cliff and while also on super muddy, absolute fuck all grip terrain. His reward for all his hard work, saving people that put themselves in harm's way, is being brutally ripped in half by the Rexes, who, again, came back. Maybe they heard all the noise and realized their ops weren't dead. This causes the trailer to finally fall, going around the outside of our cast and exploding like an Ariana Grande fan. And the CG didn't age well. Like, it looked way better last movie. They climb up the cliff and find the entirety of Lithuania's military waiting for them, meaning again, the fucking Rexes dipped. Like, how didn't they cross paths? They also somehow found Kelly in the high thing. Like, how the fuck did they know she was there? For some reason, Evil Army Man claims they're stuck together because our main cast destroyed his equipment, and the trailer is out of action, meaning they have no way of communicating with the mainland. Why exactly does this make them stuck together? Why don't they just kill the main cast and say they died in the explosion? Also, in case he wasn't already dumb enough for bringing the baby Rex into a trailer and inadvertently causing the death of Eddie, Nick tries to pick a fight with trained and armed personnel. Evil Army Man claims predators don't hunt when they're not hungry, clearly showing he hasn't watched any of the other movies, because that's just fucking false. Anyway, they make a plan to find some power station with communication equipment, talk about how they could be slaughtered by raptors, and then get on their merry way. There's a bit of character development before a strangely long walking montage. This epic string of shots is interrupted by an Evil Army Man needing to piss, which now that I'm watching this, I realize is a different Evil Army Man than the person I was calling Evil Army Man a few seconds ago. But this was the dude who was mean to the compy earlier, and while rather aggressively pulling his penis out, gets distracted by another one. And I guess he's just too evil because he chases it with the taser stick and then gets lost, then jumped by like 50 in a rather horrifying death scene. Like, there's a decent amount of blood and ripping skin noises. At least it's poetic. Plus, they're mostly animatronic, so I fuck with it. Also, the subtitles call them compies. That's cute. Back with the group, they realize old mate has been gone for ages, and instead of looking for him, just decide he's fucking dead and move on. Honestly, not even a bad decision given where they are. And I guess all those good decisions were tiring and they couldn't be asked to make any more, because it hard cuts to nighttime and they're all just fucking sleeping in the open. Might as well take a nap in a Rex's mouth at that point. And that pretty much happens a few seconds later, but not before some reincorporation of last movie's water ripples and some super intense Edward Cullinar sleep watching. My girlfriend has been forcing me to watch the Twilight movies. I really got to make some use of this damage, otherwise it's just damage. I really like this shot, by the way. Also, I don't know how they don't projectile shit and cum all over the Rex's faces here. This hyper-intelligent 12-year-old and hyper-fucking dumb cunt Ranger are better than me. Although, in saying that, Kelly does look directly at the camera in this shot. This dinosaur's eating people. Wouldn't its breath smell like fucking shit? Why is the Rex even here? Army Man mentioned that they'd patrol more territory after the trailer incident, but this is a full day's walk from then. How weren't there any issues until now? Do the Rexes only hunt at night? Is it a dumb fucking lore reason? It's probably a dumb fucking lore reason. Ugh. After some brutal carnage and Ian aggressively crawling through a bush, the hunter man tranquilizes one of the Rexes, and some guy gets so scared of a non-venomous snake that he forgets to not walk into certain death and traumatize everyone within a 2-meter radius. And in case that wasn't enough carnage for you, the army dudes run into some tall grass and get picked off by raptors like foreigners in America trying to go about their daily lives. I said before that I'm not going to overly repeat myself with these action scenes because my voice is precious and I only have a few months left to live. But just imagine I gave both these set pieces the ball cupping, shaft jerking, tip worshipping dome I've given the rest of them. The only thing I'll say is that the score, if it's even there, just sounds like casual bongos. I guess Steven forgot to add music and just said, fuck it, add some African drums. Here is also where we see our first instance of true plot armor in this franchise. A whole group of trained military men got ravaged by the raptors earlier, but our 4 main fuckwits sprint through by themselves and make it out just fine. Fuck it, bro. Talk to me when you can outrun a volcano. The scene ends when they all slide down a hill and succumb to their injuries. Of course, they're all actually fine, but Ian, being the selfish ass he is, decides to get another debilitating injury and leave the plot to be driven by other characters yet again. This time, Nick, who runs to some buildings to call an evac helicopter. And this part is super weird. He walks through this, like, visitor place center and comes across this. What is this? Was this island actually supposed to be visited by guests? Otherwise, what's the point of decorating it? Also, didn't this place come first? How do they know what the visitor center on the original island would look like? Unless they added this after building it. Did they think this through? Or can this just be pinned on Hammond's elderly antics? Can a Jurassic Park nerd actually just let me know, please? Anyway, the old as fuck borderline destroyed radio equipment still somehow works, despite being old as fuck and borderline destroyed. Maybe this was normal back in the ancient times when companies didn't purposefully make their tech shit, so you'd be forced to buy new versions or else suffer the wrath of endless loading wheels. Anywho, Nick is taking so fucking long to operate destroyed radio equipment that everyone, including Ian in his eternal laziness and injury, decide to go and search for him, and immediately get jumped by a couple raptors. This following action scene is so stupid, I don't even know where to begin, and if you know what's coming, then you'll 100% agree. A raptor jumps on Sarah and starts viciously mauling her backpack. God, I wish it was her, honestly. I got so excited at the thought of her demise, I almost forgot the backpacks are really hard to rip, and she doesn't seem affected by hers tearing at her shoulders. I don't care if the super strong raptor was pulling at it, she would have had to exert equal or greater force for the straps to rip like they did. The raptors look like shit too, like the effects are at night, so they could look a whole lot worse, but still, I guess the budget ran out from all the bullshit before. There's a lot of broken glass, Ian tanks what should be a very severe injury, and the raptors suddenly decide not to instantly maul anything they see, rather opting to just stare angrily and hiss. The music eats molten booty too, and unlike every other scene, there's no tension because this is the main character. Of course he's not gonna die here. Sarah attempts to sacrifice Kelly, and in response she does this shit. What the fuck is this? I would go into detail as to why this is stupid, but I'm assuming you have eyes, so there's not really a point in doing that. By the way, these raptors weigh 150 kilos according to the wiki. Whose fucking idea was it to add this? They climb up the rest of whatever tower they were in, parkour across some roofs, and make it unsafely to the chopper. The score also finally woke up and decides to pop off though, so at least there's that. There's a final shot of Kelly sobbing over the horrific trauma she's just endured, and then they fly into the sunset. Wait, there's still fucking 20 minutes left. Oh god, never mind. And the movie continues with a scene that confuses me. Like, they've captured the tranquilized Rex, sure, but the evil hunter man is sad? Apparently about the death of someone. I think it was that dude that freaked out about the snake. This is weird because I swear he didn't give a fuck about this guy once before this. Like, he fully got exactly what he wanted. He got his trophy, the male T-Rex, and saved InGen as far as he knows. And yet he still just wants to mope and even turns down a job at the dinosaur zoo. Talking about some melodramatic ass, I've spent enough time in the company of prostitutes. Death. Now the movie just skips a few scenes and shits us out on this random dock. Like, everyone's back from the island and dressed in different clothes, including Ian and Sarah. Were they just allowed to go home after this? I have so many questions. They don't really matter, but I still have them. The evil lawyer man is giving a boring speech about how whatever he's got shoved down his urethra at this very moment will revolutionize theme parks, but then some ominous whispers about a boat drag him away. It's revealed that the ship with the Rex on it isn't responding to radio calls and that it's early. This can only mean bad things, and it's a good way of building suspense, especially with the rapidly approaching boat ramming into the pier and setting an angry dinosaur on the loose. Obviously, it's implied that the T-Rex ate everyone on board, but how did the ship remain on course? And why is it at max speed? Waves, currents, and winds would push the boat around and cause it to drift slightly. So did the crew all get eaten recently to the point where that wouldn't really affect it? But if they were eaten recently, then why was the boat so early? It would have had to be going at max speed for a considerable amount of time to be early enough to interrupt the lawyer rambles. How did the people in the helm get murdered? Why didn't they have extra tranquilizers on board? I really don't think anyone thought this through, and you can't blame this on Hammond being Hammond. This is just a misunderstanding of maritime physics and logic. Yeah, I was really into sailing at one point, by the way. Someone buy me this. Weirdly enough, the effect of the boat ram actually looks pretty good. I think they used a model or stop motion or something and just composited people running away later on. Whatever they did, it really works. It's unclear if anyone is hurt or blown to pieces by the impact, but like, wasn't it on full blast before? There was no one to turn the engines off, so they'd still be going, right? How did the Rex deal with that impact? Some random army general and lawyer man go into the cabin to find a dismembered hand still holding onto the steering wheel. Honestly, mad props to the hand for its dedication to working in these unprecedented times. Nah, but for real though, I have even more questions. How did the Rex manage to kill the hand in the cabin? It's a tiny area. Why was the hand still holding onto the wheel while getting eaten? A T-Rex on a boat wouldn't exactly sneak up on you. Maybe it's just the insane dedication. And when we find out where it is, it's just back in the cargo hold. Like, how the fuck did it get back down there and close the door? How did it even escape? We see later, and by later I mean in like 5 fucking seconds, that it can't break the door open alone without someone pressing the button to release the doors. So what the fuck? Did you fucking write this, dickhead?
It's called motion smoothing.
Also, the effect of the Rex looks... Mate, fuck this shit. I'm so sick of saying Rex this, Rex that I need a different word that isn't just Dino. And it doesn't help that his name is Buck, according to the wiki. And his fucking child is called Junior. Although, what can I expect from the franchise that so aptly named another Rex Rexy? Jesus Christ. I put a decent amount of effort into not repeating the same words over and over to make my scripts more interesting to listen to. So, in the interest of avoiding repetition, I put the word Rex into a thesaurus and got a decent amount of synonyms. See what I did there? I, like, repeated a lot of the same words to make a point. Okay. Anyway, if some of these words don't really fit the vibe, don't blame me, blame thesaurus.com. The effects of the Tsar look atrocious here. Sure, the model looks fine, I guess, but it's so weightless looking. Like, in previous scenes, the Emperor's had so much presence. Also, for a dinosaur that just brutally murdered every human in sight, it sure is being passive here. It eats a dog for no reason later, so it's not like it just wasn't hungry or anything. I like this visual gag where the king breaks the no animals sign. It yells angrily at the city of San Diego, which is fair enough, and we cut to an explanation of why the T-Rex was able to break free. Basically, they gave it too many Xannies, and the monarch, just like Juice WRLD, stopped breathing. But then they gave it too much of a counter medicine to the tranquilizers, and unlike Mr. World, the Baron got back up. Don't ask me why this random worker is outright telling random people what's likely classified information. Does he know Ian and Sarah? Or does he just think they're civilians? Does he even care? They conjure a plan to lure the Count using the infant, and we cut to a family having a domestic dispute because their son told them about a dinosaur. He's strangely calm for someone who just came face to face with an extinct apex predator. Maybe he's fucking stupid. Who knows? The Kaiser? What the fuck? Is here because it's thirsty, but it's drinking presumably chlorinated water. Why didn't it try to drink the seawater earlier? It's clearly not interested in drinkable liquids. What would this do to its digestive system? And why does it go to this backyard? There are several pools that were way closer. Surely there were other water sources too. Like, it's in fucking suburbia at the moment. How far did it go? And why has no one else woken up from this? Light sleepers plague our world, and one of them is bound to be some disgruntled old bag who'd call the cops over it. Also, it breaks through a brick wall with zero effort. Surely there'd be at least some resistance, right? During the domestic dispute, the mum turns off the fish tank light at the power point. Wouldn't that tank have an off setting to press? Or even a blue light setting? It looks low end, so turning it off at the power point could risk turning off the filter and heater because some cheap tanks have those functions controlled from the same wire. I also got way too into fish keeping. If someone comments dripping walrus, I'll do a tank reveal. Anyway, even though I just spent more time ripping on it than it actually lasted, I actually kind of like this scene. It's kind of cute. Next up, Ian and Sarah go into the Jurassic Park Zoo to collect the baby. This place is huge and definitely has been noticed by the locals. What do they think this place is going to be? Like a dinosaur theme park with roller coasters? Would they then be considering where the rides are? What about the shit Ian was spewing about the Jurassic Park incident? Would people make the link between this newly built structure and his stories? They presumably got a lot of coverage because several people were looking at him on the subway and he went to the media. Surely the existence of this park raises some questions. There's a very violent rampage that no doubt leaves several people dead or severely wounded. Like, this is fucking carnage. I do think it's somewhat realistic to what would happen if this were real though. My only issue is that the Lord seems super strong. Like, it fully destroys this bus while running faster than real Rexes actually could. Some people die. This guy super died. God, there's actually no coming back from this. Anyway, Ian and Sarah get its attention and lure it through the city to the docks. How nobody has shot at this thing and murdered it, I don't know. This is America. I thought you guys shot at people for simply disagreeing with you. God knows I'd be fucked if I went there. Also, it's so fucking funny that animal control is here. What the fuck are they gonna do? Use that weird metal rod with the loop at the end? Our suicidal squad get out of the car carrying the baby and somehow, and remember, they're holding a supposedly heavy infant, outrun an angry magnate. Then they ditch it in the cargo hold and jump overboard, leaving the lawyer, who followed them for some reason, still on the boat. I guess he felt left out and really wanted to be a part of the suicidal squad too, because he walks into the hold to get the baby. Where is the fucking adult? Wasn't it right behind them before? Why is it taking so long now? And when it does rock up, it just makes zero noise. And finally, in what's actually a very just and deserved death, the lawyer gets eaten, but not by the adult majesty, no, by the baby. And it's done as a hunting lesson type of thing, where the adult lets the infant get the kill. But doesn't this imply that Junior was always capable of slaughtering people? Why didn't he do it at any point before this? Nah, whatever, this is where the movie ends anyway. I find it so funny that cargo ship is escorted by the fucking Navy with battleships. Apparently they don't want a repeat of the San Diego incident, despite the drop-off location being a random borderline deserted island and not a populous city. Also, they're battleships. One shot from those will just annihilate the mogul. They don't need 200 surrounding the boat. Relax. The final shot is an awfully rendered pan of the island with every conceivable dinosaur in the franchise so far, all on the screen at once. Apparently there's also pterodactyls too. That raises a lot of concerns, but the credits are rolling, so I'll just leave it. Shake your tail. I actually really like the end of this movie. Without even needing to explain it to the dumb audience, it's clear that the San Diego incident absolved Ian's name in the eyes of the public. Like, he clearly wasn't lying about what happened at Jurassic Park, and now the world knows it. For some reason, The Lost World gets a bunch of hate, and I can understand its criticisms for certain parts, namely the first third and Sarah's whole character. This movie's definitely not as good as the first, but that's not to say it blows Homeless Man Penis in dark alleys by any means. It's actually pretty decent. Maybe like a point or two below its predecessor. I do actually think the action is better in this movie than the last, and it's more brutal too. Motherfuckers get ripped in half and there's a lot of blood. And I think leaning into the action was a good call. The simple existence of dinosaurs in the movie wouldn't be enough for audiences after the first Jurassic Park. The novelty had worn off, so focusing on better action and showing people things they've never seen before is just logical to maintain the entertainment value. Unfortunately, that does also mean leaning on special effects more than practical, but they couldn't really do much else. Plus, as I said, the novelty of dinosaurs wore off, so they didn't need to look hyper-realistic as to not ruin the point of the movie. I've also heard complaints that the San Diego scene was out of place and tacked on. Are you guys okay? It literally spearheads the entire plot. It was set up clearly much earlier with the introduction of the dinosaur zoo, and serves to give Ian a satisfying conclusion with his mid-ass bitch of a missus and daughter he'll spend millions of dollars of therapy for. But you know, if you disagree with me, please type an essay in the comments. Remember, I might read it, but more likely I'll just screenshot it and use it for comedic effect later down the track. But if you don't want to leave an angry comment, do all the usual shit YouTubers ask you to do. Write a like down below, smash that comment button, and check out my other socials in the description, especially if you want to put a pretty face to my blind videography rages. Yeah, I think that's about it. Now there's only one more thing for me to do.